Hello, this is the Dusty Moose, and I wanted to get to a certain part of gardening that we all had to deal with, and this is the dreaded burdock. How you know it is one of these gigantic leaves on the bottom, and unfortunately, if you let it age to a certain point, it gets to this. Now, fun fact, these are actually all edible. Now, I wouldn't suggest just eating random burdock that you find and eating it there. And then with the burdock, you want to eat it while it's younger. Otherwise, you have to do more processing to get rid of the bitter taste. The main parts of the burdock that you want to eat is, technically, you can eat the burrs when they're in this state. You can grind them up and all that stuff. Wouldn't suggest it. It's a lot of work for very little. The other part is the stem. You can eat if you peel everything back. You'll have to saute and boil it forever. It's still kind of bitter. The leaves you can eat. You got to boil them and saute them for a while too, because they're going to be super bitter. And then the next part, if I can get it out, is the root tap. That one I'm going to have to work for more. Root taps of older burdock are more starchy. Think of it in the realm of a parsnip or a potato. The younger burdocks, on the other hand, and I do have one for you to look at and to enjoy. In fact, here is one of them right here, and it's a lot easier. So the other big secret of burdock is the leaves should be soft and can be like a little rough, but not super rough. And as long as they're mostly soft, they're fine. It's the very rough leaves you got to watch out for. That's the poisonous ones. This part here is what you're looking for. Now the taproot, which I wasn't able to get out, I'm gonna have to work more. But to be honest, I got more to pick from. As burdock is super invasive. In fact, this is the European one. That's super common around here. Sorry about that, my phone got knocked off. But this is the European one and the super common one. Oh. Again, you'll get the taproot when you can, and it will be all white. But even getting this out hampers it and makes it easier to get rid of it in the future. Pretty much the more you mess with it and try to get rid of it, the easier it is. Here it is. Here's what we're looking for. So this here is the taproot. You scrub it clean, get all the dirt off, and this is a first year burdock. This will actually taste halfway decent. You can, once you clean it up, chop it up, saute it, almost like a carrot or a parsnip. As for why you don't want to eat burdock, it accumulates all the pollutants, similar to sunflowers. Sunflowers are notoriously, they absorb all the bad stuff in the environment. Same with burdock. It will absorb all the bad alkaloids and all that stuff in the environment, but if you have it in a clean area, you have a plant that you can completely utilize from leaf to stem to root. And I thought that would be very interesting for everyone to know. And yeah, I will also say this, do not use it in your compost because you don't want that stuff in your compost. And if there's any other fun questions, cooking methods, or anything like that, I would love to hear those in the comments. I think that's it for now. Thanks. And hopefully I'll have something new and interesting for you soon. Alright, with a lot of muscle and some work and some embarrassing scenes that I am so glad none of you have seen, I got rid of the 2 giant burdocks. I will say this 110%, get yourself a good garden fork, because heck, just trying to get the burdock out, look at what that did to my garden fork. That's why if you see burdock, get rid of it right away. It will be a lot of work if you don't. And I think that's more or less a Midwestern issue. Because I'll show you flat out the haul. 2 big old burdocks. Now, let's get into some of the more of the meat of the thing. This here is that taproot I was talking about. Look how deep that goes. That's what anchors it down and makes it a pain to get out. Everything is edible. Look at all that fiber, all that stuff. He would literally just clean everything and boil it, and then inside, if you see, it's pretty white and starchy looking. Granted, with how old this one is, you would have to boil it for a significantly long time to get all the bad stuff out of it, and it's mostly just starch. But if you're starving and you're hungry, this would be one of the plants to go for right away. Like I said, every part is edible as long as the leaves are soft. It'll feel papery in texture, but that's pretty much safe. If it's like sharp, prickly, and all that type of stuff, besides the burrs, dangerous. That's the toxic burdock. But this is just your standard European one. And like I said, managed to get this all out. I'm gonna let this sit out and dry. It's gonna be a few days of just dry weather. And like I said, get yourself a good garden fork, because this is what happened to mine. But at least I got the 2 biggest, nastiest things out of my garden. And this year I'm not going to skimp out on cleaning up my burdock. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully I'll have something interesting for you soon.